Hi, it's Mary, a traditional Chinese medicine tutor and an acupuncturist in Canada. Today's video will use Yin-Yang theory to discuss the human body's pathological change. We will discuss the superiority and the inferiority of Yin-Yang and the difference between excess heat and cold and deficiency heat and cold. According to TCM idea, the imbalance between yin-yang is the fundamental reason for the occurrence, development, and the change of disease. All the diseases, the root of it is the imbalance of the yin and yang. This is a high degree of summarization of various disease and the pathological mechanism.
Hi Mary, what causes the balanced yin-yang to transform into an imbalanced yin-yang and make a healthy person sick?
TCM holds that everything in the universe is made of qi, and the qi of the same kind will go together and reinforce each other, just like the birds with the same feather flock together. The yin-yang balance of a human body can be referred to as the balance of the human body's yang qi and the yin liquids, such as essence, blood, and the body fluid. The body's yang qi and yin liquid levels decides the level of the person's healthy qi. In a healthy state, the body's yang qi and yin liquids are in a balanced state. When facing the invasion of yin pathogen such as cold and dampness, the yin pathogens will reinforce the body's yin liquids, making the body's yin is more abundant than the body's yang. Therefore, the original body's yin-yang balance is broken and the body becomes cold. When facing the invasion of the yang pathogen such as wind, heat, summer heat, dryness, the yang pathogen will reinforce the body's yang qi, making the body's yang qi more abundant than the body's yin qi. Therefore, the original yin-yang balance is broken and the body becomes hot.
Healthy qi and its yin-yang aspects.
Here is the concept called healthy qi or vital qi. The healthy qi refers to the body has a normal historical structure, has a regular physiological function, and the ability to resist, stand, and repel the damage of disease. We're actually talking about its ability to fight against the pathogen, and also the ability, if people get sick, how to repair, how to recover from the damage. That's the healthy qi. The healthy qi can be divided into yang qi and yin liquid. There's two aspects to discuss the healthy qi. One is looking at the yang part, the yang qi. Another is the yin fluid. This angle is from the angle of the body substance. They should have sufficient yang qi and sufficient yin liquid, including essence, blood, and the body fluid. Healthy qi deficiency happens when either the human body's yang qi or yin liquid is insufficient.
Pathogenic qi and its yin-yang aspects.
The pathogenic qi refers to various factors leading to disease. The pathogenic qi can also be classified yin and yang. We usually say the 6 environmental pathogens belong to the yang evils, while the diet and the residence, emotional disorders belong to the yin evils. It's because the 6 evils, which refers to the wind, cold, dampness, heat, dryness, and the summer heat, the 6 pathogens belong to the environment, belong to the exterior part of the body, belong to the human environment. When they attack our body, they attack the superficial part. They go in from the superficial part. Once they can break through, they can go inside. So in this sense, we say those are 6 pathogens, 6 evils belong to the yang qi. And the diet, emotional disorders can directly attack the inside, like the food. You ate too cold food, it directly damages the stomach. or the emotion, like over angry, will directly damage the liver. Those pathogens belong to the yin evils. This is comparatively speaking. Among the 6 pathogens, you can still divide it into yin and yang. Among them, the summer heat, the wind, we know the characters of wind is in movement. Wind always move. Move is yang. The heat, of course, associated with fire, so that's yang. Summer heat is actually the extreme of the heat, so it's yang. And the dryness always associated with the heat, so it's yang. These are the yang pathogen. And the cold is the character of the yin. Cold is yin evil without any question. Then there's dampness. Dampness are yin evils as well, because dampness is heavy, it's going downwards. If people have a dampness inside, they will feel heavy of the body, feel hard to move, feel tired all the time. That's the yin character. In this sense, cold and dampness, they belong to yin. Here we use yin-yang to analyze the attributes of the cause.
Disease occurrence, development, and change involve the battle between the body's healthy qi and the invading pathogenic qi.
Let's see this chart. This one is a balanced yin-yang, or you can call it a dynamic yin-yang balance. The yin-yang increase together or decrease together, or the wax of the yang, wane of the yin, or another one is the increase of the yin, decline of the yang. But in all the case, the change is within the certain range. Our body can adjust to the environment. We stay healthy. But when the pathogenic factors are too much, or the vital qi is not sufficient, it will all bring imbalance. In terms of the occurrence and the development of the disease, in TCM, the major theory says that the onset of a disease is usually caused by the imbalance between the healthy qi and the pathogenic factors. If the pathogenic factors are stronger than people's healthy qi, there will be a disease. Or if the vital qi is not sufficient, it's weak, with the same pathogenic factors, there will be disease. If the vital qi wins, which means our body can adapt to the environmental change, in that scenario, no disease will happen. The climate factor is still climate factor without change to the pathogen yet. If the pathogenic qi wins, then you're going to see the disease, and the disease compared to the condition of the healthy qi, the manifestations can be very different.
The meaning of excess and deficiency in TCM.
The concepts of excess and deficiency are introduced when discussing the confrontation between healthy qi and the pathogens. Excess refers to a condition where the pathogenic qi is abundant, but healthy qi is not declined yet. The fight between healthy qi and the pathogenic factors is fierce, and this type of patient has intense clinical manifestations, such as high fever, coarse breathing, abdominal pain aggravated by pressure, and a forceful pulse. Deficiency refers to a condition where the healthy qi is weak. The body's qi and blood, yin and yang, are deficient. The body's physiological function is hypo, and the body fails to fight against the pathogenic qi. The pathological reaction is not intense in this type, such as listlessness, lassitude, shortness of breath, low fever, or only a feverish sensation in the palms and soles and the chest, and the feeble pulse. The excess and the deficiency, it's a really important concept. It will define our ways of treatment. For the excess, we reduce it. For the deficiency, we tonify it. The general principle is bring back the balance. Too much, reduce it. You don't have enough, I'll give you or reinforce you. That's the principle of treatment.
Types of imbalance of yin-yang.
In general, they can be yin-yang too much or the yin-yang not enough. They generally can express as these are two kinds. Superiority means too much, or inferiority means not enough of yin and yang. This relationship reflects the imbalance of the yin-yang.
Superiority of yin or yang.
Superiority of yin or yang refers to there's too much yin and yang, refers to the excess syndrome, as expressed in the saying, superiority of the pathogenic qi leads to an excess. In plain language, it can be explained as when the pathogenic qi is too much, when the evils is too strong, that situation leading to a disease, that disease can be called excess disease. Excess means there's too much pathogenic qi or the evil qi. When pathogens invade the human body, they will follow their categories. The qi from the same kind will reinforce each other, just like the bird with the same feather will flock together. If there's too much yang qi in the environment, the yang evil invade the body. They will reinforce the yang part of the body, makes the yang too much. If it's yin evil invades the human body, it will reinforce the yin aspect of the body, make the yin stronger than the yang. In this way, leading to yin superiority. Both situation is the disturbed or imbalanced yin-yang. We're going to talk about the two parts separately. One is the superiority of yang, and the other is the superiority of yin.
Superiority of yang.
When the yang is too much, with the superiority of the yang, example, the body is invaded by the summer heat. The summer heat will reinforce the body's heat, makes the yang much more than the yin. The definition says that the superiority of yang refers to the pathological state of yang dominating yin. Superiority means there's too much yang. With too much yang, we know yang associated with active, with movement. Too much yang will lead to the hyperactivity of body functions. Excessive heat production during the course of the disease. That's the manifestations of the superiority of the yang. Too much yang, when you think about the manifestations, you think about the nature of the yang first. The yang associated with active, with heat, with upward movement. Too much yang will make the body hyperactive. Like some people has a excess heat in the stomach. With the excess heat in the stomach, you can see they can eat a lot, but still feel hungry. That's the hyperactive, hyperfunction of the stomach. With the heat, with the excessive yang, you can see people over sweating, feel thirst because there's a excessive heat, and heat consumes the body fluid. So with the heat, the bodies feel hot, the face is hot, sweating, they cannot wear too much or cannot cover too much. That's because of yang dominates the yin. This kind of situation comes from many reasons. For example, contracting warm heat yang evil, like in the warm heat disease, contracted to the warm heat yang evil, or contracting to the summer heat. Another possible, although contracting yin evil, but the yin evil transformed to heat following the yang, as yin and yang inclined constitute. This person used to have the constitution on the yang side. When the cold go inside, the cold will contract or close the sweat pore, shut the yang qi inside. So the cold will transform into the fire. Or due to the internal injury of emotions, and the excessive five emotions transforms into a fire. Many emotions can change to the fire, like anger. Anger is the most specific one. People has a liver problem, they tend to easily losing control. And the people easily losing control very easily get angry, also damages their liver. So emotion is the factors. All 5 emotions, not only the angry, can easily transform into fire, or due to the stagnation of qi, blood stasis, food accumulation. Those stagnation can turn to fire as well. You can think about it like you shut in a room. When you stay in the room with all the doors and the windows closed, the room can quickly become hot and even feel the difficulty in breathing. But you open the window or open the door, with the movement of the qi, the heat will cool down. The same logic can use in our body as well. We can make a conclusion. The superiority of yang results in heat. Pathogenesis is characterized by excess heat syndrome, in which yang is prosperous but the yin fluid is not deficient. That's about the characters of the yang superiority. In this situation, the yang will result in the heat, but at the same time, even though the pathogen is very strong at this moment, the healthy qi is not weak yet. It's an excess type. Put this together, you can call it excess heat syndrome. That's the root of the problems. In this situation, even though the yang is a lot, the yin liquid is not damaged yet. When we talk about the vital qi, by the definition, we know the vital qi constitute 2 parts. One is yang qi, another is the yin liquid, like the blood, the body fluid, and essence. They all belong to the yin fluid, or you just simply call it yin. In this stage, the yin fluid is not damaged yet, which means our body's vital qi, or the healthy qi, is still okay. When the healthy qi is still okay and the pathogenic qi is too much, this is the situation we call it excess. So superiority of yang associated with excess heat. The manifestations of this type, like the excess heat, would be intense heat, flush the face. You can think about people in high fever, what this person look like. There's a flush the face, very red eyes because of the fever, restlessness. When you're too hot, you cannot sit there quietly. You're just continuing moving. The tongue is red with the yellow and the dry coating. The dry is because heat consumes the body fluid, so there's a kind of dry sensations there. These people would like to drink a lot of water. And the yellow associated with the heat. In normal situation, the coating is thin white coating, but now with the burn of the heat, the color will change to yellow. Here we can say the red and the yellow is the yang color. Even the color has the yin-yang. The red and the yellow is the yang color. In the yang situation, with the heat, you can see the color of red and the yellow and the dry. There's an abdominal distension and abdominal pain, but a refusal to press. If it's an excess syndrome, excess means there's too much. When there's too much, you don't want anymore, even though there's a pain. But this patient will refuse to be pressed because the press will trigger more pain. That's what the patient does not want. Comparatively speaking, if in a deficient state, deficient means not enough, the patient like a lot of press. When they don't have enough, they want more, so they like to be pressed. That's some difference between excess and the deficient. If there's abdominal pain, he will be refused to press on that. Hot flashes or even deliriums. So-called delirium is the hot affects the heart, especially affects the pericardium, which is the outer layer of the heart, leading to the disturbance of the mind. Heart houses the spirit, so there's a delirium. They start to speak nonsense. That's the manifestations of the heat. When you think about those manifestations and their relations with the yang, those manifestations all can be developed from the nature of the yang. What is the characters of the yang? You use the characters of the yang to analyze the manifestations. You can get all those conclusions by yourself. You can even add more on this. Like with this kind of inference, you can expect that this person can have a constipation because the heat consumes the body fluid, then there's a dryness, and then there's a constipation. And you can imagine the color of the urine, it's yellow, dark yellow. Think about that. It's all caused by yang. From characters of the yang, you can develop those manifestations. From those manifestations, you can find out the connection. The underneath reason is the heat, is the yang, is the superiority of the yang qi. Next character about the yang superiority is the predominance of yang makes yin suffer. The predominance of yang often consumes yin fluid within the body, leads to the pathological changes of a shortage of yin fluid. That's one thing we say, yang consumes body liquid. The heat consumes the body liquid. Just think about on top of a stove, you boil water. You boil water. The water becomes less and less. It is consumed by the heat. When there's a shortage of body fluid or the yin liquid, you can see there's a manifestation of thirst. It's a heat syndrome, so they like cold drinks. There's constipation, lack of the urine becomes less and the urine color becomes darker, and the other symptoms of the yin injury. Here, we emphasize one thing, shortage of yin fluid. Shortage of yin fluid is not the same as the yin deficiency. We'll discuss yin deficiency later, but bear this in mind at this moment. In this chart, you can see that the yang is too much. Yang is more than the yin, but the yin is still sufficient. In this situation, yin is still in the normal range. So in that situation, the superiority of the yang will lead into heat, and the heat will have hypofunction of the body and makes the yin fluid suffer. That's what we need to remember based on the understanding of yang superiority.
Superiority of yin.
Superiority of yin refers to the pathological state of yin dominating the yang. The yin, again, think about the characters of the yin, is associated with cold, still, static, downward movement. If the yin dominates the yang, there's too much yin in the body, there will be dysfunction or decline of the body function. Too much yin will lead into hypofunction or even dysfunction of the body. So there will be yin cold dominate, too much yin, and leading to the accumulation of pathological metabolites in the body during the disease process. That's the other things you need to remember. Hypofunction and then yin accumulation, like the phlegm is the accumulation. The retained water is the yin accumulation. Blood stasis is the yin accumulation because the yin refers to essence, blood, and the body fluid. If the retained water becomes thicker, it transfers into phlegm. So phlegm is just another form, comes from the stagnated water or accumulation of the water. That's the superiority of yin. Overpowering of yin is mainly caused by contracting directly by the cold and the dampness yin evils, or it's caused by overeating cold and raw food. Thus the coldness blocks the middle jaw. Overeating cold and raw food will directly damage the stomach, and we know the stomach qi is supposed to go downwards. The next thing is stomach, closely related to the function of the spleen. All of them, stomach and the spleen, occupy the middle jaw. That's the pivot of the body. Upper part qi going downwards will need to go through the middle jaw. And the lower part, the kidney qi, liver qi need to go up, they also need to go through the middle jaw. Now the middle jaw is blocked by the coldness. This coldness not only influences the stomach, but influences the whole 脏腑 organs qi movement, leading to systematic problems affecting whole body, depending who is the weak one. The weak one will be affected the most. The superiority of yin results in cold. This is easy to remember. Think about what is yin. Yin is characterized by cold, stillness, and dampness. Too much yin will result in cold. The pathogenesis of the disease is mainly manifested as an excess cold syndrome. When we say excess, again, it's the pathogenic qi is too much, but at that moment, the healthy qi are still okay. Even there's too much yin, but the yang is not deficient. The yang qi is still okay, so the healthy qi are still okay. In this stage, because the healthy qi is still okay, the ability of fighting back the pathogen is still okay. In this situation, the battle are very fierce, very intense. Many manifestations will show up. Two people, they are all strong, so they have a good fight. If one is very strong, like the pathogen is very strong, but the healthy qi is very weak, in that situation, there's no fight. The pathogen directly go in, beat the weak person, and have the disease go in. For people has a weak healthy qi, usually there's not much strong manifestations, sign symptoms. Strong sign symptoms doesn't mean this is a serious disease. Think about the difference of it. Because at this moment, the yang is not deficient. The healthy qi is still okay, but the pathogenic qi is very strong. The yin is very strong. So this disease is an excess disease. And it's a cold disease. Put it together, it's an excess cold syndrome. Because the yang cannot control the yin, which causes yin and cold to develop in the interior. The manifestations of the superiority of yin would be cold body, cold limbs, those are cold, cold, cold. Pale tongue, pale, the color, not the red ones, but the pale ones. Cold pain in the abdomen, usually the cold pain is very sharp. There's a refusal to press, and there's a loose stools. We know the cold will consume the yang qi. When the yang is not sufficient, cannot function well, in terms of the transformation from food into the nutrition to the foodstuff essence, they cannot do it. The water cannot be absorbed by the body, then the water will mix with the waste and it becomes the loose stool, depending on which organ being dominated by the yin, which organ has a hypofunction under the influence of the yin pathogen. Another character is the predominance of yin makes yang suffer. The predominance of yin often damages yang qi within the body and leads to the pathological changes of short yang qi. This one actually very easy to understand. Like today is very cold outside, -10. Outside is dominated by the cold pathogen. You step outside, quickly your body becomes cold, because the cold consumes your body yang qi. So you start to have a cold limbs and whole body feel cold. If you decided to stay longer outside, there's more damage, not only the superficial part, but the coldness can go inside, damage your 脏腑 organ, and even leading to the death. So you see people can be freezing to death. You can see from this chart, this is the superiority of the yin. The yin is too much. The yang is still okay, so the healthy qi is okay, but the pathogenic qi is too much. The pathogenic yin is too much. It will lead to the cold and makes yang qi suffer. If you use the yin-yang theory to explain the superiority of yin or superiority of yang, you can use the theory of yin and wax to explain it. It's just like one part grow stronger, another part will be affected. When you look at the superiority of the yin, you look at the coldness, you will not forget the yang part. There's too much yin, it makes yang suffer. Yin-yang rely on each other, inseparable. When you see the influence on the yin, you will think about what happened to the yang. When you see the superiority of the yang, you know there's too much heat. Then you will think about what happened to the yin. The yin liquid will be consumed as well, leading to the deficiency of the yin. So each time you see things, when you see the yang, the major symptoms associated with yang, you also think about what happened to the yin. And if you see yin symptoms, you will wonder what about yang. You will not forget any because they are together. They work together and even transform to each other. So you will pay attention to other part as well. We're not going to ignore the other part.
Inferiority of yin or yang.
Now let's talk about the inferiority of the yin or yang. Inferiority means less, not enough. Inferiority of yin or yang refers to the deficiency syndrome as expressed in the saying, inferiority of the essential qi leads to a deficiency. The essential qi here, use other words to talk, is the healthy qi. When the healthy qi is not sufficient, it is a deficient syndrome. For the deficiency, there can be the inferiority of yang or inferiority of the yin. In plain language, yang is not enough or the yin is not enough. Then what will happen?
Inferiority of yang.
Inferiority of yang refers to the pathological state of the body in the process of disease caused by decline of the yang qi, weakened functions, and insufficient warmth. The yang is not enough, the function is not sufficient, weakened function or hypofunction. We already talked about this in our pathological part. The function is yang, associated with yang, so the function is not sufficient. We can say the yang is not sufficient. Vice versa, if the yang is not sufficient, you can imagine they cannot function properly. So insufficient yang will lead into hypofunction or weakened functions. And the yang also associated with warm or heat. When yang is not sufficient, there's insufficient warmth, so there's a cold. This cold is not due to too much yin, but due to the insufficient yang qi. That implies two things. The cold can be too much yin. We just discussed the superiority of the yin. But on the other hand, the coldness can be caused by insufficient yang qi. The inferiority of yang is primarily due to lack of the congenital endowment that's born this way. When they are born weak, leading to this problem. Because kidney yin and the kidney yang is the whole body's yin and the whole body's yang, governs the whole body's yin and the whole body's yang. When people born like congenitally, the kidney essence is short, is weak, is in deficiency, that will lead to deficient yin or deficient yang or both. They can have the inferiority of yang due to the congenital reason. Or it is lack of the acquired diet or from improper postnatal care. Like some people, they don't eat that much, trying to lose weight without enough food. Those are the material for the stomach and the spleen to transform to the nutrition, to the postnatal essence. You don't have material to produce. Of course, there will be not enough qi and the blood being produced. Without enough qi and blood, then the yang qi will be declined. Another reason is overstrain causes internal injury. Overuse consumes the yang qi. Think about yang associated with movement. Now you overmove. Overstrain means you overuse yourself in whatever way. The movement, usage are finished by the yang qi. Without yang, without movement. So you overuse it. That means overuse your yang qi can lead to the insufficiency of yang qi. or chronic illness damages yang qi. With chronic illness, the healthy qi must be weak. There's a saying, chronic disease lead to deficiency, 久病必虚. The chronic illness will damage the yang qi, leading to the inferiority of yang qi. By analyzing the manifestations to reach the conclusion, actually the conclusion you want to reach for the purpose of a treatment is the syndrome. Yin superiority means the yin is too much. After analyzing signs and symptoms, you will reach the conclusion as excess cold syndrome. Excess cold syndrome usually is developed by the yin superiority. Inferiority of the yang means the yang is less, not too much yang. When yang is not enough, inferiority of yang leads to cold. Yang itself associated with heat. When the yang is not sufficient, it will be not enough yang, which is the cold. This cold is a deficient cold. Even though it's cold, but it's a deficient cold. Its pathogenesis is characterized by a deficiency cold syndrome due to deficiency of yang qi in the body. Yang does not control yin, and yin is relatively hyperactive. When yang is not sufficient, relatively speaking, the yin is more than the yang. The yin is relatively hyperactive. Actually, it's just showed that way. This more yin is because the yang is not sufficient. In this situation, we say the cold is a deficient cold. The clinical manifestations are mostly aversion to cold, don't like cold, also has cold limbs, tiredness of the mind, like lying down, abdominal pain, but prefer warmth and pressing. This kind of pain, even though it's a cold pain, but this cold is empty cold. It's because of the yang deficiency, not because there's too much yin, like the outside temperature -10. That's the superiority of yin, too much cold, superiority of the yin. But this time, even outside it's shiny, it's okay, normal temperature, but this person feels cold. So this cold is inside because of the yang deficiency. If this person has the abdominal pain, he would like to be impressed. Be pressed makes the pain less. And this person will like the warm, the heating pad will make this person feeling better. There's loose stools, clear and long urine. This time you see the urines are long and clear because of the yang deficiency, cannot circulate the water properly inside the body. The amount of urine is profuse. Then you see the clear and long urine, slow and forceless pulse, and other deficiency cold symptoms. So if you look at the manifestations, there's a two part. One is cold, another is deficiency. So you see the forceless slow pulse shows this person has a weak healthy qi. When the healthy qi is not strong, with the less yang qi, when the yang qi is not sufficient, you see yang associated with movement. In this way, the blood circulation will slow down. The pulse is slow. The yang also associated with the power. With less yang, it's weak, so it's forceless. That's why you see slow and forceless pulse. And there's other symptoms related with the deficiency. As I mentioned, you will see this person with yang deficiency feel cold, no energy. The voice is low, it's feeble. When people are healthy, the face are regular color, like a light red behind the skin. But for a patient has a deficiency, lack of the yang, you're going to see the pale complexion. The qi and the blood would be not sufficient. That's the manifestations of the yang inferiority. Mainly it's the empty or deficient cold, deficiency cold syndrome.
Hi, Mary. What is the difference between excess cold and deficiency cold?
The inferiority of Yang will produce a deficiency code as opposed to the superiority of Yin producing excess code. Deficiency code is different from excess code. Excess code cannot be relieved by warmth, but the deficiency code can be relieved by warmth. For example, in daily life, you can see people having a common cold. Even though they wear a lot, they still feel cold. Very likely, they have contracted to excess cold. On the other hand, aged people, like your grandparents, usually wear a lot more than you and your children to keep warm. That is because aged people usually have Yang deficiency and the warmth can keep them from deficiency cold. Excess cold can also be associated with cold pain. This type of excess cold pain is usually sharp, and the patient does not like being pressed on the pain area, as pressing will aggravate the pain. For example, many women have huge pain before or during menstruation, and this type of pain is usually due to excess cold accumulated in the uterus. On the contrary, people having deficiency cold like to be pressed, as pressing relieves the pain, making the patient feel better. Excess cold is the superposition of excess syndrome and cold syndrome, and the deficiency cold is the superposition of deficiency syndrome and cold syndrome. Therefore, other than the two major differences mentioned above, you can see the accompanying symptoms are different. Excess cold syndrome is cold syndrome accompanying excess type of symptoms, such as high fever, loud voice, and forceful pulse. And the deficiency cold syndrome is cold syndrome accompanying deficiency type of symptoms, such as low fever, feverish sensation, feeble voice, weak pulse, etc. The strategy is to identify the excess and the cold syndrome separately and then put them together, just like you do math. 1 + 1 = 2. You get your conclusion of excess cold syndrome. The same logic goes for deficiency cold syndrome. From the patient's clinical manifestations, you find deficiency syndrome and cold syndrome. Put them together, that is deficiency cold syndrome. The treatment principle for solving deficiency cold is to increase the body's yang qi. Patients with yang deficiency generally have cold bodies and hypofunction of zangfu organs. The treatment principle for excess cold is to expel it out of the body.
Inferiority of Yin.
If the yin is not sufficient, not enough yin, this situation, inferiority of yin, refers to the depletion of the essence, blood, and the body fluid. So think about it again. The body substances has a 4 types: qi, body fluid, blood, and essence. The yin or yin liquid refers these 3: essence, blood, and the body fluids. In the process of disease, failure of the yin to control yang. When yin is not sufficient, the yang has a less place to attach to, because yang has to attach to the yin. Yang cannot exist by itself. In this way, it will lead to a pathological state in which yang is relatively hyperactive and the function is deficiently overexcited. Here, the keywords would be because the yin is not sufficient. Yin cannot control the yang. The nature of the yang is going upward. When yin cannot control yang, yang going outwards, so it shows relatively yang is too much. This kind of too much is a deficient type of too much. Even it looks like it's hyperfunction, but it's a deficient type of the hyperfunction is deficiently overexcited, hyperactive, but it's a relatively hyperactive. It's not the yang too much leading to the hyperactive. It is the yin not sufficient leading to this type of hyperactive. This scenario, inferiority of yin, is mainly caused by yang evil injuring the yin. Like people has high fever. The high fever will consume the body fluid, leading to the yin deficiency. Or the 5 motions turning into a fire and injuring yin. Once it becomes the fire will injure the body fluid or consume the body fluid. Or a prolonged illness consume the yin fluid. Like people has a TD, tuberculosis of the lung. Those people, you see, they are very dry, like the skins are dry because the body fluids are much damaged. You can see they have fever, sweating, but those kind of heat symptoms not due to there's too much heat pathogen or the yang is too much. It's because the yin is not sufficient, relatively showed as though yang is too much. So there's symptoms like sweating, red face, kind of like that. The characters of the pathogenesis of yin inferiority is deficiency of the yin leads to heat. Its pathogenesis is categorized by a lack of yin fluid, the deficient function of nourishing, tranquilizing, and restricting the yang heat. Thus, there is a deficient heat syndrome in which yang qi is relatively dominant. The deficiency of the yin will lead to deficient type of the heat. The clinical manifestations of yin deficiency are dysphoria, like restlessness, with feverish sensations in the chest area, and the palms is here. The palm, so we have 2 palms, and the psoas is the bottom of the foot. This is 5 places, the chest and the 2 palms and the 2 psoas, so 5 centers. Sometimes we call it 5 centers, feverish sensation. That's the very typical symptoms related with a yin deficiency, dysphoria with feverish sensation in the chest, palms and psoas, hot flashes as though deep from the bone. That's what it feels. The hot comes from very deep as though from the bone, has the flushes. So-called flushes, kind of like a tidal fever. Like people has a menopause. A lot of menopause are due to the yin deficiency. With yin deficiency, people experience the menopause. They will have suddenly feel the flush from inside and also for lower part of the body all the way up, as though they are covered by a tidal fever. With the flush, they started to sweat and their face becomes red. However, this kind of red is not the normal kind of red. Normal kind of red is more even. It's hidden behind the skin. No matter what complex you have, white, yellow, blackish or brown, it doesn't matter. From the superficial layer of the skin, there's many blood veins. All the blood are red. So you will see with experience what the normal color look like for different backgrounds of people. That's the healthy state. Yin deficient type, this kind of a flush is kind of like you're wearing makeup. So it's very superficial and only on the cheeks, this area has the flash. Weight loss, when there's yin deficiency, with time, people become thin and thin and thin. Night sweats. Night sweats is another typical symptoms associated with yin deficiency. We know that the yang qi, in daytime, the defensive qi circulates mainly outside, but at night, it goes inside. It already have a yin deficiency for the person. At night, when the yang qi go inside, it makes the heat even worse. So there's a more sweat at night for a yin deficiency person. Once people wake up, the yang go to the superficial part, then the sweat will stop. That's kind of sweating we call night sweating. And because of the yin deficiency, not enough yin fluid, so you see the dry throat, dry mouth, red tongue with a little coating. Another typical symptoms is the tongue, body is red, but the coating partially or almost disappear totally. You only see the tongue is red like a mirror without covering. That's the very typical tone for a yin deficient syndrome. Thin, weak pulse because it's a deficient type. If it's excess type, the pulse will be fast, strong, forceful because it's excess, too much. Always remember, excess is too much. Deficiency is not enough. When it's not enough, the manifestations will match the not enough. When it's not enough, you know it's slow, it's weak, it's hardly to be palpated. And when they speak, the voice is really low, they're very quiet, not much active, not much movement, but with the excess, these people just restless, moves all the time, just 1 minute they cannot stay there quiet, and they're very talkative. Hardly to give all the examples about the sign and symptoms, but each time think about the definition. When you do analysis in TCM, always think about what is the definition of the yin and yang, what's the definition about excess and the deficiency. Once you know the definition, you compare the manifestation with the definition, then you can make a good conclusion about what's going on with this patient.
Hi, Mary. What is the difference between excess heat and deficiency heat?
Inferiority of yin produces deficiency heat as opposed to the superiority of yang producing excess heat. Deficiency heat and excess heat are different. Excess heat is usually manifested as a high fever, red face, and hot body. The deficiency heat usually has a low fever, tidal fever, or even no fever. The body temperature is regular, only having a feverish sensation on the chest, palms, and soles. Patient with deficiency heat only has flushed face on cheekbone area. Yin deficiency is mainly marked by the symptoms of deficiency heat. For yin deficiency, the treatment principle is to supplement yin to restore the yin-yang balance. The main principle for treating excess heat is to clear the excess heat.
Deficiency heat vs. deficiency cold.
Look at the chart again. This is a deficient type. With the inferiority of the yin, there's a heat. But this heat is a deficient heat. Actually, the yang is okay. There's a normal range of the yang. The yang is in the normal range. Is the yin not sufficient? So relatively looks like the yang is too much. So you see the heat. In order to clear this kind of heat, the deficient heat, what you do is not clear the yang. If you clear the yang, you're totally wrong. What you need to do is to nourish the yin. When you nourish the yin, bring the yin up, you can resume the yin-yang balance. This deficient heat, you need to treat from the angle of nourishing the yin. You cannot diminish the yin. For this kind of cold problem, like a deficient cold, you use a method to stimulate vomiting, sweating. You will make the person both the yin and the yang deficiency. You are not treating the patient, you are damaging the patient. For the inferiority of the yang, for this situation, what you do is to tonify the yang qi, bring up the yang qi to bring the person into the range of a balance of yin yang. That's what you need to do to strengthen the yang qi to treat the cold.
Excess heat vs. excess cold.
For the excess type, for the superiority of the yang, in order to clear the heat, what you do is clear the excess yang. And for the superiority of the yin, what you need to do is to get rid of the excess cold, use reducing method to bring back the balance.
Mutual involvement of yin and yang.
Now let's look at the mutual involvement of yin and yang. This means that in a prerequisite for either yin or yang deficiency, the illness progresses to involve the counterpart, resulting in a pathological state of deficiency of both yin and yang. Maybe first it's just yin deficiency or yang deficiency. However, everything is in movement. Things will change and develop. So the yin deficiency will finally involve yang and it becomes both yin-yang deficiency. Or the yang deficiency will affect the yin, leading to the yin deficiency as well. The end of the story is both the yin and the yang deficiency.
Involvement of yin by yang deficiency.
So let's talk about what is the involvement of yin by yang deficiency. With this, we know it's the yang deficiency first. The yang deficiency finally involves the yin, so it becomes the involvement of the yin by yang deficiency. This means that as yang gets deficient to a certain degree, it may further lead to the deficiency of the yin fluid because of the failure of the deficiency yang to produce a yin fluid. Like example of edema. Edema usually is due to the yang deficiency. With the yang deficiency, the organs cannot function well. When the yang cannot function well, the production of the body substance, the essence, blood and body fluid will be affected as well. So the accompanying symptoms would be related with the yin deficiency because the yin cannot be produced due to the yang deficiency. When there's a yang deficiency, the zangfu organs cannot function well, so the body substances cannot be produced properly. Therefore, you can see the emaciation, very thin, dysphoria, restlessness, and chronic convulsion can appear. Why there's a chronic convulsion? Usually it is the liver being affected because the tendon is supposed to be nourished by the liver blood. When the blood cannot be generated properly, blood is under production, cannot produce sufficiently, cannot nourish the tendon, then there will be related symptoms like chronic convulsion. With the development of the disease, first, you only see the edema, but later you will see other symptoms associated with the disease. That's the involvement of the yin by yang deficiency. The characters of the pathogenesis is based on the yang deficiency, yin deficiency appears, forming a pathological state of deficiency of both yin and yang, with the yang deficiency standing out. Even though two parts has been involved, but the root of the problem is the yang deficiency. Your treatment would be focused more on strengthening the yang, but at the same time, you are going to nourish the yin as well, because the yin also being affected. There is a saying, yin cannot generate without the yang, and the yang cannot develop without the yin. The yin-yang, they are related. By the rules of the yin-yang, we say the yin-yang rely on each other, and they wane and wax together. If the yang is not sufficient, the yin cannot be produced. The yin liquid is produced by the zangfu organs function. With the yang deficiency, you are going to see the yin deficiency as well.
Involvement of yang by yin deficiency.
Another one is involvement of the yang by yin deficiency. This means as the yin liquid gets deficient to a certain degree, the illness involves yang qi, leading to insufficient yang qi transformation or escape of yang qi as yang qi has not had sufficient yin liquid to attach to. The characters of pathogenesis is on top of the yin deficiency, there appears to be yang deficiency, forming a pathological state of a deficiency of both yin and yang, but the yin deficiency is more serious. First of all, the yin refers to the yin liquid. It can be the body fluid, can be the blood, and it can be the essence as well. For example, in deficiency of kidney yin, let's say oversex, or for women having too much babies, or in their labor too much bleeding, too much blood has been lost, that can lead to yin deficiency. So you can see symptoms like dizziness, vertigo, soreness, and weakness in the lower back and the knees, because it's a kidney. The lower back is the house of the kidney. With the kidney yin deficiency, you easily see those kind of symptoms. However, yin liquid is the base for producing the function. The body substance, qi, blood, body fluid, those four body substances are the material for the 脏腑 organ to function. Without those body substances, the 脏腑 organ cannot function. Just like without gas, your car cannot move at all. You need the yin liquid for the 脏腑 organ to function. Now, the liquid is not sufficient, so you cannot function well. When the 脏腑 organ cannot function, it will lead to the yang deficiency. The yin deficiency lead to yang deficiency. Another is yang has to attach to the yin, like the qi has to attach to the blood and attach to the body fluid. Without the body substance, the yang has nowhere to attach to, then it will be escaping or floating, disappear from the body. In this sense, because the yin is not enough yang can be attached to the yin. Some of them will disappear, will be wasted, leading to the yang deficiency. You see, at the beginning, it's just the yin deficiency, but with the time, it involves the yang and it becomes both the yin and the yang in deficiency. So for this situation, your treatment is focusing on nourishing the yin, but at the same time, you will also take care of the yang. You need to reinforce the yang as well to bring back the yin-yang deficiency. Otherwise, yin and yang both are in deficiency. In this situation, both the yin and the yang are under the minimum range. This is the healthy qi not sufficient.
Comparison of the involvement of yang by yin deficiency and involvement of yin by yang deficiency.
Here is recap to compare the yin and the yang deficiency, like the involvement of yang by yin deficiency and the involvement of the yin by yang deficiency. You can think about there's a primary type. Which one dominates is the leading reason, and which one is the secondary type. With the yin deficiency, there's a heat. But with the yang deficiency, there's a cold. So this is the coexistence of the heat and the cold. You know, sometimes people, they have upper part is hot, but the lower part is cold. And some people, they will say, my hands are always cold. But I feel like the chest part has a feverish sensation. So cold and heat can coexist in the same patient, depending on the type. For the yin deficient type, the heat dominate. For the yang deficiency type, as the primary type, it is the cold, even though it's a deficient cold, dominate. Both of them are the healthy qi deficiency. So the treatment are tonifying both, reinforce both, with the focus are different. For the yin deficiency, involve the yang, the focus is on nourishing yin, but tonify the yang at the same time. The same with yang deficiency involve the yin. You tonify yang as the focus, but at the same time, you also supplement the yin. Clinically, they can be other more complex the symptoms, like a complex the disorder of the yin and the yang. The yin-yang can coexist. The cold heat can coexist. Excess and deficiency can coexist in the body, like people, let's say, has a phlegm inside. The phlegm itself is the excess. The blood stasis are excess. But at the same time, these people can be very weak. This is a deficient and excess coexist scenario.
Transformation of yin-yang.
The yin-yang coexist inside the concept of qi. Depending on the force of the yin-yang, it's changing. So there's a yin and wax of the yin-yang. When this kind of quantitative change develop to a certain level, at a certain degree, the yin can change to yang, or the yang can change to yin. That is what we say transformation of the yin-yang. Yin syndrome or the yang syndrome under certain conditions may transform itself into its opposite direction. The yang syndrome may transform itself into yin syndrome, or a yin syndrome may transform it into a yang syndrome. Here, briefly, give you an idea about what is yin syndrome and the yang syndrome. Syndrome is about the root of the problem at the current stage. If the syndrome are different, the treatment would be different, because TCM treatment is based on syndrome differentiation, not based on the disease. When you say syndrome, first of all, we need to know it's a yin syndrome or it's yang syndrome. That's the first thing we need to understand. Yin and yang point to the major direction of the disease. Under the definition, yin is the part away from the sun. So yin is associated with coldness, with quietness, with downward movement, with contracting. That's the original meaning of the yin. Based on the definition of the yin, it can be extended as a suppression, quietness, gloom, retrogression. Those are all reflected as a yin syndrome. For the yang syndrome, yang is the side facing the sun. When facing the sun, the yang will be associated with the characters of hot, active, upward movement. Extended from these three basic characters, you can think about excitement, restlessness, like the person cannot stay there quiet for even 1 minute, accentuation, and brightness. Those are all characters associated with the yang syndrome. When we face a patient do the syndrome differentiation, the first syndrome we need to identify is a yin or yang syndrome, which is very easy because you connect all those manifestations with the definition of yin and yang. In clinic, it might be more complicated, like the yin and the yang can coexist at the same time, but there's dominant ones. There's a dominating symptoms. You had the basic idea about syndrome of the patient. Under this rule, yin and yang can be transformed under certain conditions. The yang syndrome can transform into the yin, and the yin syndrome can transform into the yang. For example, for exogenous heat disease, this person has been invaded by heat pathogen. The heat is a yang pathogen. When it's affected by the yang pathogen, it can manifest as a high fever, red face, panting with coarse respiration, like the breathing is heavy. It kind of like has a breathing problem. Emotionally, there's a vexation, or you can call it irritation. Feel thirst. If you take the pulse is rapid and forceful. Those manifestations listed here are all associated with the word of the yang. You can explain all those manifestations with the word yang. Yang associated with hot, with the upward movement, with the active. So restlessness is the yang, is associated with the overactive. Thirst is because the patient feel hot, and the hot consumes the body fluid, so there's a thirsty. The hotness was associated with the red. Those manifestations can all be explained by the word of the yang. So this is a yang pattern or yang syndrome. Because of the rampant heat, the primordial qi may be significantly damaged. We need the heat, we need the yang qi, that's for sure. However, if the yang is too much, it consumes the qi and consumes the body liquid. For example, over sweating, following the movement of the sweat out of the body, the qi will leaking out of the body as well. The qi will be reducing. When it reaches a certain level, there's a sudden collapse of the yang qi. The disease can suddenly change because too much yang has been escaped out of the body following the sweat. Therefore, you can see the body temperature suddenly drop. The patient will have pale complexion, extreme cold limbs. The pulse, very faint, even hardly can be detected. Those symptoms would be the yin symptom. So that's the transformation of the disease. The transformation can also go the other way. For example, patient has accumulation of body fluid in the middle. When the yin accumulates inside, we know yin-yang, they has to communicate with each other. The yang at the daytime, it's circulating mainly outside, but at night, it is supposed to go in, to stay inside. That's the good yang. We don't need too much yang, but we need the yang, can go in, stay inside. That's the useful yang, precious yang we need. When there's too much yin accumulated inside, the yin is too much, blocks the yang going in. The yang was rejected by the yin. So the yang cannot go in, then it flow away. That's we call it the floating of the yang. In this kind of a situation, you can see some symptoms similar to the yang syndrome. Red face, feel thirsty, the pulse is big and rapid. That looks like a yang syndrome. However, this is not. This is a false yang. What you can see is it is transformed from a yin syndrome into a yang syndrome. Yin-yang, there's a transformation under certain conditions. When there's a transformation suddenly happen, it can be false type of a yin-yang transformation, and it also can be the severe development of the disease.
Review.
Here is a review of the imbalance of yin-yang. There are two big types of yin-yang imbalance. One is yin or yang too much, which is called superiority of yin or yang. Another type is yin or yang not sufficient, which is called inferiority of yin or yang. The superiority of yin or yang is an excess type of problem, as the patient's healthy qi is not declined yet, and only the pathogen is abandoned. The inferiority of yin or yang is a deficiency type of problem, where the patient has weak healthy qi and fails to fight back the pathogens in an intensive way. The superiority of yang produces excess heat, which, with time, consumes body fluid, leading to yin deficiency syndrome. In order to restore the yin-yang balance, the treatment principle for excess heat is to clear the heat but pay attention to protecting the body's fluid. Many methods can be used, such as using cool and cold-natured TCM medicinals, acupuncture, cupping, bloodletting, etc. The superiority of yin produces excess cold. Cold damages yang qi over time, leading to yang deficiency and yin accumulation, such as cold, retained fluid, and blood stasis. To restore the yin-yang balance, the treatment principle of excess cold is to repel the cold but protect the body's yang qi. TCM medicinals offer warm and heat nature or moxibustion can be used, as the cold can be balanced out by the heat. The inferiority of yang will produce a deficiency cold as opposed to the superiority of yin producing excess cold. The treatment principle for solving deficiency cold is to increase the body's yang qi. For example, 金匮地黄丸 is a typical TCM medicinals used to strengthen kidney yang. Patients with yang deficiency generally have cold bodies and hypofunction of zangfu organs. Inferiority of yin produces deficiency heat as opposed to the superiority of yang producing excess heat. For yin deficiency, the treatment principle is to supplement yin to restore the yin-yang balance. For example, 六味地黄丸, a TCM medicinal, is typically used to treat kidney yin deficiency. Yin deficiency is mainly marked by the symptoms of deficiency heat. The inferiority of yin and the inferiority of yang will mutually affect each other, leading to deficiency in both. For yin deficiency involving yang, resulting in both yin and yang deficiency, with yin deficiency more severe, the treatment principle should focus on supplementing the yin, but also pay attention to supplementing the yang. For example, 左归丸, a TCM medicinal, is typically used to supplement both kidney yin and kidney yang deficiency, with a focus on supplementing kidney yin. This type of patient has deficiency cold and deficiency heat at the same time, but with deficiency heat more serious. The manifestations could be, for example, the lower parts of the body being cold but having flushes and a heat sensation in the chest. Yang deficiency involving yin results in both the yang and the yin being deficient, with yang deficiency being more severe. People with this syndrome will have deficiency cold and deficiency heat simultaneously, but deficiency cold is more predominant than deficiency heat. In order to restore the yin-yang balance, the treatment principle for yang deficiency involving yin is to supplement yang and yin together with a focus on supplementing yang. For example, 右归丸, a TCM medicinal, is typically used for kidney yang deficiency involving kidney yin. Yin deficiency and yang excess both produce heat belonging to yang syndrome, while yang deficiency and yin excess produce cold belonging to yin syndrome. Under certain conditions, usually when the condition develops into a severe stage, the yin syndrome and the yang syndrome can transform into each other. Here are two questions to test your understanding. The answer will be listed in the description below for your reference. Question 1. Which one will result in heat? Answer A. The superiority of yang. Answer B. The superiority of yin. Answer C. Deficiency of yang. Answer D. Deficiency of yin. Question number 2. Which one will result in cold? Answer A. The superiority of yang. Answer B. The superiority of yin. Answer C. Deficiency of yang. Answer D. Deficiency of yin. If you find this video is helpful, please give me a like, subscribe to it, and share it with others. See you in my next video. All the best!